Today I'd like to talk about a topic that is as near and dear to my heart as any other, and that is making connections. Now, as a lot of my topics may sound when I start a video, this one might seem pretty bizarre. How do you make an entire video just on the idea of connections, or at least, how does that tie into your life enough to make a huge impact? Well, it's a kind of long story. I guess we'll see by the length of the video, but let's go ahead and dive on into it. So I think it's safe to say that my obsession with connections really began in middle school. It was middle school where I started to get involved in tons of different things at once by choice rather than by force. It was the time when you could take these various classes and kind of take some electives along with it. And through taking those electives in various classes, you got to see the various connections in them. For example, I started taking music, and then I was able to kind of see the connections with English and poetry and that sort of thing. The similarities between prose and melodies. And then I started with my sciences, the real science classes, and I got to see the commonalities between them and the math I was learning then. And it was all very intriguing to me. And then a certain show came into my life. A certain YouTube channel called The Game Theorist, or Game Theory, went ahead and took those little ideas of connections that had been drilled into my head, or at least thought about for quite a while, and it said, hey, you know those ideas? We're going to take them, and we're going to take them to the whole nother level. Game theory took all that math and science that I was just barely beginning to scrape the surface of, and it dove deep into them while connecting them to the video games that I had also come to love through Pokemon and other outlets. It was, to me, one of the greatest shows ever because it connected the two things I was the most passionate about at the time, which were video games and learning. It was absolutely incredible to me. So, when I ended up going to high school, having watched this show for about 1.5 years at that point, I was determined to make a connections club. I wanted there to be a club where people could get just as excited about learning algebra as watching game theory had made me. I wanted to show them all the real-world applications so that all those complaints about, you'll never use trigonometry or geometry again, it's useless, so that I could silence all those complaints and be like, hey, you actually can. You can use these things in everyday life to just gain a better understanding or just have a cooler time. And so I went ahead and I created the paperwork. I went in, I got some people together, and I decided, hey, we're gonna make this happen. We went to the club fair and we had such a large name, Connections Club, that our banner was longer than everyone else's because connections is an awfully long word. And as you might expect at a high school that valued learning just as much as it needed to, not many people signed up. It was just my closest friends and maybe 2 or 3 other people that decided to sign up for it. And at the first meeting, I had prepared this entire long presentation about various connections of that aforementioned subject, geometry, connecting to real life. And I started going through it, and people were just like, eh. And it didn't take too many meetings for me to get tired out making these presentations, doing the research for them every day. And for people to just be like, yeah, we'd rather play cards or do something else. And so Connections Club kind of faded away into a sort of card-playing club, which ended up, in the end, making me more connections with friends than any other club could have. So I guess it really did stand up to its name. But still, that little idea of connecting various things, especially things that I was interested in, kind of lingered in my mind. And as I gained more pieces, as I started playing water polo, and I started thinking more about owning my parakeet, and I started thinking about my past experiences with like roller coasters and pinball, I started realizing that my identity is contingent on connections. who I am cannot be described by a single thing or even one or two connected things. It has to be described by an entire complex web of things. And when I came to that realization, it was great, but it was also difficult to express. You can't walk up to someone and say, "Hi, I'm Rachel Miner. I've done this, and this. Nice to meet you." Because the person will just be like, "Whoa, what? I don't even remember what your name is because what was all of that?" And it became a real problem for me. Because my reality didn't lie in any one of these things, or any two, or any three, as I just said. It was such a complex amalgamation. And I had a lot of trouble figuring out how to express this to the world. At first, I tried to do it through writing. I tried to create a complex character that would embrace a lot of the traits and, I guess, consolidate them into what can be called a personality. But even that wasn't exactly fruitful. And so then I came across the idea of making a YouTube channel, of being just like those game theorists who I looked up to so much, and making a personality where I could just be me. I could just have all of my connections and be who I really was, and just kind of embody that on YouTube. Embody that weird mess of things. Be something like a coaster key. Two things that don't go together, mind you, but are both an essential part of who I am. And so this idea started brewing as early as freshman year high school. I started thinking, man, I should really create a YouTube channel. Man, that would be so cool. I really wish I could do that. I really wish I could. But then all these ideas started cramming my mind. I started thinking, but I don't have the equipment, but I don't have the software, but I don't have the ability, but I don't have the time. It's not something I can do. And for the longest time, that was paralyzing, because I felt like no matter what I would do, it wouldn't be good enough. It wouldn't show who I was accurately enough, or maybe who I wasn't even good enough. Who wants to look at a complicated mess when the YouTube algorithm itself says that what is good is being one thing and one thing only, when it knows darn well that there is absolutely no one that is one-dimensional? And so, even knowing when I went to college that starting a YouTube channel would be absolutely flawed, as I would want to build it on this idea of being a complex human being and doing various stuff that I like to do and just kind of sharing it with the world, I went in, and I am going in, knowing that people probably won't want to watch it. And it's a reality that I think of a lot, because I have been waiting on this for 4 years, but it's something that I have also been able to deal with, because I came to realize that it wasn't important if other people enjoyed all of the aspects of my personality, or even if they enjoyed like one or two or whatever. It was important that I put myself out there and that I be the person who I want to be, which is this complex ball of random things that I'm sure all you people are out there are learning. I'm not someone who can just make videos on movies or games or something that simple. It's just not possible for me, because I have so much going on in my life and I have so much to say. That being said, going forward, I really hope to make connections to all of the other kinds of YouTube videos, to be able to do some Let's Plays and that kind of stuff, to be able to do some analyses of some videos and things like that. I hope to take these aspects, and by coming at them from my own angle, my own unique human multifaceted angle, be able to kind of bring them together. Even though I know that this is statistically and very likely not going to be successful. But at the end of the day, I just came to realize that it's what I need to do for my personal growth. It's the best way for me to really be myself and introduce myself to people and even kind of explain those weird parts of myself to those people that do kind of know me. Because to try and explain who I am in a single session or over the period of many years, as it is with some of my best friends, is still a complex task, and I'm sure it is for absolutely everyone. But I hope that through these videos and through the comments and through the conversations that we can have after I post these videos, we can all get to know each other and those complex selves that are underneath everything just a little bit better, and to just understand that we're not two-dimensional and we're not a single thing. So connections. They bind me together, as I'm sure they bind all of you. And ever since I've learned about them, I guess I've been kind of, I don't know, obsessed, maybe just affected. We'll find out. At any rate, with my outros, everything else, I like to connect two things. I always say, I hope you soar high, a connection between birds and coasters and various other things, success, and enjoy the ride of life. Of course, a combination and an ode to roller coasters, as well as how crazy and how many twists and turns there can be. And have a great day. Bye.